Happy Mock Draft Monday to you all Ravens fans. I'm your host, Joey Petersen. You're watching the Ravens Rundown by Chat Sports. And on today, we're going over the NFL Network's dream mock draft, in my opinion, for the Baltimore Ravens. Chad Reuter had a 3-round mock that I think would be amazing if the Baltimore Ravens pulled it off. Before we dive into any of the picks, I got to let you guys know we are getting very, very close to 28.5 thousand subscribers right here on the channel at 28,295, 205 away from 28.5K. Help me get there by hitting that sub button if you guys have not already. Alrighty, let's go in and just kind of give you a little bit of a reminder of where the Baltimore Ravens sit for day 1 and day 2. Alrighty, day 1 and 2 picks Thursday and Friday. They got the 27th overall in round 1. They got the 59th overall in round 2, and then the 91st overall in round 3. Let's dive into it. And before we actually talk about the picks, we got to let you know there is a trade alert because in this mock drafts, the Ravens trade pick number 27 to Philadelphia for picks number 32, which is their first round selection, and also pick number 96, which is their third round selection, end of the day on Friday. And with that first round pick, number 32, your Baltimore Ravens select Josh Conerly Jr., offensive tackle out of the University of Oregon, slides all the way back to the final pick of that first round. Here's what Chad Reuter had to say about the selection. Baltimore trades down in the first round and finds a bargain. Veterans Ronnie Stanley and Patrick McCarry are due to become free agents, so the team must add a starting left tackle. And in my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, Ronnie Stanley will most likely sign elsewhere this offseason. Why, you ask? Well, he's projected around $21 million a year for his next contract, and the Ravens only have $8.91 million in cap space. Now, that can change, and that will change when that new number gets officially set. But a lot of things have to happen for them to have enough money to feel comfortable about spending $21 million a year to re-sign a veteran tackle who, yes, played injury-free this past year, but has dealt with injuries in the past. Well, enough about Ronnie Stanley. Let's talk about the selection of Josh Conerly Jr. He's got a lot of pros. His pass pro technique is one of the best in the entire draft. He's very athletic. He has great pad level. His stunt recognition is off the chart. He also has really long arms. However, even with the really long arms, he's a little bit undersized at 6'4", 315 pounds. His anchor strength is not the best, and he tends to be a little bit inconsistent when it comes to his run block, okay? Pass blocking is his strength. Run blocking is his weakness. His grade, in my opinion, is a late first round, which is exactly where you're getting him, the latest you can get him in that first round, or an early second round selection. On Kiper's offensive tackle draft rankings, he has Conerly at the 4th tackle available, just behind Will Campbell, Calvin Banks Jr., and Josh Simmons. Let's look at his 2024 PFF grades because they were pretty spectacular, especially when you take into account he played a whopping 965 snaps. His overall grade was 78.1. His pass blocking, like we talked about, 83.5. Very impressive. Only allowed 1 sack at that left tackle position and only 4 penalties as well. And if Ronnie leaves, okay, you've heard me talk about this team's number 1 priorities. I think it goes edge rusher, and I think it goes cornerback. But if Ronnie Stanley leaves, in my opinion, left tackle jumps to the top of that list. So to get a guy who's a top 4 tackle in this draft at the very end of this draft because you traded with Philadelphia, I think that's a dream. I think that's a very, very good selection. I'd be very happy at the end of round 1 if Ronnie Stanley's no longer a Raven, if Josh Conerly Jr. is. Let me know, okay, to Ronnie Stanley. Do you want him to be with Baltimore in 2025? If so, show me down below by hitting that thumbs up button and liking today's video. On to round 2 we go. Kennard, edge rusher out of South Carolina with the number 59 pick in this last year's draft. And I know a lot of people might think just automatically off the selection, this might be a little bit of a reach, okay? Mel Kiper Jr. only had Kennard at number 10 in his top 10 outside linebacker draft rankings, okay? He's got a lot of other big names above him, but I still personally think that if you can snag a guy like Kennard even in that second round, at pick number 59, you're going to get a lot of value out of him. He played incredible this last year in 2024, was the best year of his career, 11.5 sacks, 39 pressures, 3 forced fumbles. And what I love is when you look at it, right? Transfer from Georgia Tech. Every single year from 2021 all the way to 2024, it was an improvement every single season. Okay, he went down a little bit in tackles in his senior year compared to his junior year, but he made up for that with 5.5 more sacks, almost double the sacks and 18 pressures, okay? And what I think about this pick, to all the guys who might think that this might be a little bit of a reach, is you don't lead the SEC in sacks just by accident, okay? You don't get 11.5 sacks in the SEC playing only 12 games just by accident, okay? This guy is an incredible pass rusher. He has a lot to improve on, but just from the sheer size, athleticism, all of those things that you're looking for in your next pass rusher, your next great pass rusher at this stage in this league, all of those things Kyle Kennard has. I think he can be a great player. I think he has an incredibly high ceiling. Be honest with me, okay? We've talked offensive tackle. We've talked edge rusher. What do you think the biggest position of need is this offseason for the Baltimore Ravens? You let me know in the comment section down below. Coming up, we got the Baltimore Ravens third-round selections. And remember, with the trade, Baltimore now technically in this mock draft has 2 of them. We'll talk to you about them in just a little bit. But before that, I got to talk about our awesome sponsor on today's video. And that is our good friend, our old friend over at Factor. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to optimize your nutrition this year? Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well so easy. They're dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes, so you can fuel right and feel great, no matter what life throws at you. Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active, busy lifestyle. You can lose up to 8 pounds in 8 weeks with Factor's keto meals as well. Based on a randomized, controlled clinical trial with Factor Keto, results, of course, will vary depending on diet and exercise. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu, each week it's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. Choose from preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. And what I love about Factor is that ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, okay? We work long days here at Chat Sports, and there's a lot of times I get home at 7 o'clock, 7:30, sometimes even 8, and I'm like, I do not want to just spend 30 minutes making something that I'm not that great of a cook. I don't think it's going to taste that great anyway. And that's what makes Factor so great for me and so great for you who have a busy lifestyle is you can go home, heat it, eat it within 2 minutes, and you know it's going to be delicious. So eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast and use code FACTORPODCAST to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code FACTORPODCAST at factormeals.com/FACTORPODCAST to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Let's go to round 3, and the Baltimore Ravens address the need at wide receiver with Utah State receiver Jalen Royals at pick number 91. And let me tell you, this one really, really excites me, okay? He only played 7 games this past season, but in those 7 games, at 834 yards, 15.2 yards a catch, 6 touchdowns, and 3 drops. I don't know if you're doing the quick math, ladies and gentlemen. That's over 100 yards receiving a game. And then you go back to 2023, he had 1,000 yards in 13 games, 71 catches, 15 touchdowns, 5 drops, and in my opinion, Royals is a very, very underrated outside wide receiver who can help fill a massive need for this team, okay? I think this team has a lot of really great slot receivers who can do a lot in the middle of the field, like your Rashad Bateman, like your Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers, a little bit more than Bateman. Bateman has some outside wide receiver in him, but honestly, I don't think he has quite what Royals does. I'd be really excited to see him in purple and gold. However, it is worth noting he suffered a season-ending foot injury on October 26th. However, his rehab has gone really, really well. He did play a little bit in the Senior Bowl, showed some really great flashes, has been, kind of skyrocketing up boards. And in my opinion, I think this is my favorite pick of this mock, okay? Because I think you find a guy who's truly a gem. I think Josh Conerly Jr., you pick him right where he's supposed to be, okay? I think Kyle Kennard, that might have been a slight reach, but I still like the potential of that pick. I think Jalen Royals, you getting him in that third round, I think will be amazing. He's a gem. I think he's going to be a star in the National Football League. You let me know, though, in the comments, do the Ravens need to draft a wide receiver? I've been talking about it. I think they do, but I want to hear from you guys. If you think they do, give me a Y for yes, and if you think they don't, give me an M for no. Just let me know in the comments section down below. I'd be typing Y. Curious to hear what you guys would type. Let me know in the comments. And remember, guys, we got that pick from Philadelphia. And with that pick at number 96, the Ravens are selecting linebacker Barrett Carter out of Clemson. And Barrett Carter is a guy who has just kind of excelled at every level he's been at. Whether that's high school, where he was a 5-star recruit, or all his years at Clemson, okay? He's a tackling machine. He's played a lot of football. As you see, 3.5 sacks, 82 tackles, 16 pressures with 7 pass breakups as well this past year with the Tigers in 14 games played. And what I believe this is so crucial is because I think you're going to fill a big need that not a lot of people are talking about and not a lot of people realize going into the 2025 season, okay? Trenton Simpson played 5 snaps in Week 15, 0 in Week 17, week 16, 6 in Week 17, and 4 in Week 18. If you're doing the math, that's 15 total snaps in the last 4 weeks of the season, okay? He came into this season with, I think, a lot higher expectations than he was able to meet. And I think Barrett Carter would be a really great Trenton Simpson replacement just in case he gets cut, and Baltimore uses that cut to save them a little bit in cap space. And even if they don't cut Simpson, I think adding a guy like Barrett Carter, who's played a ton of football in his life, a ton of football at a really high level at Clemson in his career, could come in and day one challenge Simpson for that starting job. So grade it for me in the comment section down below. A, B, C, D, or F. What would you give this mock draft? To me, I'll let you know coming after this ad break. So my grade, guys, is an A-, okay? I would be really happy with this mock draft. I think my only gripe with the entirety of it and why it's not something like an A or an A+ is there was no cornerback picked. There was no cornerback selected. I'm just going to assume that in this mock draft world, in this mock draft universe that Chad Reuter is operating from, that the Baltimore Ravens signed a cornerback in free agency. Hopefully it's a guy like DJ Reed or Charvarius Ward. Each of them you could get for around $14.5 million a year. And if that's the case, then I absolutely love this. Love the fact that they're addressing this need in free agency. Love the fact that they're addressing all their other ones in the draft. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Join us for the best offseason coverage you can find anywhere right here on the Ravens Rundown.